Hello and welcome to the Lynn Lowdown, and today we are joined by Chief of Police Christopher Reddy. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Good morning. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. It's been six weeks.
Right, a little over 6 weeks.
A little over 6 weeks. May 20th, they announced the decision to put you as the new chief of police. When you got that news, what was your first reaction when you got that news?
It was really, it's overwhelming, it's humbling. I was very honored to have been chosen, and really just, it's a career highlight. So I was thrilled and my family was thrilled.
Mm-hmm. Talk about that process. How's that process for you with all the candidates and the stuff that
it was a pretty extensive process, and it went on for a long period of time. There's a lot of preparation involved and multiple stages. So I think both Deputy Chief Vale and Captain O'Toole, tremendous individuals. I've been friends and co-workers with them for years, and I have tremendous respect for them. So I think the city was fortunate to have all three candidates, and I think we all worked hard, and I'm grateful and humbled to have been selected.
Yeah. What has been these last several weeks been like since your first day as the chief of police? Can you just talk to me a little about your day to day since you got the role and fully began to develop?
Well, yeah, obviously there's a transition from my former assignment as the captain of patrol to the chief's position. There's, everything from shutting down what you were doing and making connections, people that would normally call me for things and connecting them up with somebody else, to then coming into the chief's role and getting a grasp on all the different responsibilities and everything from budgeting to, obviously a much greater role in policy development and in training, and that's just the general overall operations of the department. So there's certainly there's a lot to get up to speed on, but as I said to you earlier, I'm very happy to say we're surrounded by a lot of good, talented, hardworking people. So it's nice to be able to lean on folks who've been doing it and they're very good at it. So
and this job, it's more so you're looking over the whole thing. As captain you're looking over a certain amount of people.
Correct.
Now you're looking over everybody. Does that? You sit back and like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you have a moment when you go, whoa. But obviously you've put some thought into that beforehand. You knew, there's the expectations that we all, I believe, spent some time thinking about what we were seeking. But then once you get into it, then there's the actual doing, and so that it takes some work. And there's a period of transition. But like I said, I feel increasingly comfortable and confident, and I'm grateful for the people that I can lean on and rely on along the way.
Yeah, let's talk about the state of department right now. The budget. There was that budget meeting at City Hall that just went through. You talked about all that, but then just talk about the state of the department. How's everything right now? Just overall.
I would say we're in a period of transition in that a lot of the officers who come on in the late 80s and late 90s, where there were significant hiring occurred back then, and they're all coming to retirement age along a similar timeline. So we're in a period of transition where officers are increasingly going to retirement or transitioning out of the job for other reasons, and we have new young people coming in. So I look at that positively, because these young officers bring a renewed energy. Many of them are much more familiar with technology and the current climate of the country, and they're eager, and so there's really a lot of possibilities and potential there, and like I said, the positive energy most of all. But at the same time, we have concerns about the loss of all those years of experience and mentorship, so we try and provide the right guidance to help them.
Yeah. I know when I talked to former Chief McGarry, there was a certain number of officers that you guys wanted to have in the department. Was it close to like 200 or something?
That's
like
right.
That?
That's right.
How much closer are you all to getting there?
Yeah. So under Mayor McGee, we really had made some progress, because we were significantly down into the low 160s. But because of these retirement issues that I'm talking about, we're now in the low 170s. But the good news is we have 12 officers that are in the academy who are due to graduate in August, and then we have 5 more that will be graduating in November, and then we have 5 more that will be entering the academy in September. So as we lose some people, we're trying to gain a little bit and get closer and closer back up to where full staffing would be.
And this year, you also brought on some new ones from the academy, correct? Some
Yes,
academy.
we had several officers join us recently who transferred in from other agencies, and we've had other academy graduates. Just 2 of them very recently also joined us.
So there's good things happening.
Yeah,
So there's a lot coming.
And like I
board.
said, I'm really impressed with the performance and the commitment of the young officers. It's really, from a guy who's been around for a while, it's encouraging to see.
And as time goes by, policing changes throughout the year. You talked about it, social media being a big tool as far as policing. How does the Lynn Police Department utilize social media, to help them solve cases or do anything of that nature?
Yeah, and social media has become such a part of our society overall. So we use it for a variety of means, everything from notifying the community about things like the teen center and positive things are going on, or to update them on a job well done by an officer. But also when we have a particular crime and we maybe have a photo of the suspect or a fact pattern or a description, we can put it out there as well and try to generate tips. So we use it for a variety of purposes.
And one thing I've noticed on the Facebook page that whenever there's a big drug bust or something, you guys also always put that information. And you just talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you guys been solved the past couple months, because I know I've seen there's been some big drug bust that's happened over the last several months, and with help with the state police and DEAs. Can you just talk about some of the stuff that happened?
Sure. So we have partnerships with law enforcement agencies on the state level and the federal level, and oftentimes work on joint investigations. I think 2 weeks ago, one of our detectives who's on the FBI task force, Detective Rich Fucci, was part of an operation that resulted in a substantial arrest and seizure of weapons and seizure of drugs. And we've had several of those recently. The drug task force partners with the DEA. We have a detective, Officer Ross Panaclopis, assigned to that task force as well. So by having representatives working directly with those federal agencies, we can have more of a role in addressing those problems and being involved in the investigations and having a good outcome. Because whenever we can take substantial quantities of drugs off the street, and certainly getting guns off the street, that's critically important to us, because those are 2 of the things that drive a lot of issues in this community. It's not just crime, but also just the toll it takes on families and on individuals as well. So that's important to us.
What's the most frequent thing that you guys have to deal with in the summer, as far as just like crime or anything? What is something that frequently happens in the summer that you guys always have to deal with? Or is there like a boost? As I know around this area, there's been a boost of people trying to steal cars or get into vehicles.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that too?
Yeah, I think we have a couple of things. In the summertime, obviously more people are outside, and they're usually outside later at night. So you have a lot more noise issues. People are drinking. There's the potential for fights or other encounters, that kind of disruption and disturbances that occur. So we see obviously more of that, and we try to address that. We use the first approach. We try to give a warning, and then we can from there go up to try to do a noise citation or try to use the least enforcement measure necessary to address and resolve the problem. The other things, we have seen an increase in larceny of motor vehicles in the current year. A lot of those are driven actually by rental cars that are not returned, so an individual might get charged with using their authority, or the rental agency might report the car stolen because their client hasn't returned it, but it's not stolen in the traditional sense. So those can disproportionately impact that rate, but we still do have regular larcenies as well, and we try to address those by increasing patrols if we see a particular area where that's happening. But what you describe in the parking lot, I would think it's probably more what we call larceny from a motor vehicle or B&E to a motor vehicle. And that might be individuals going around just looking for some valuables, and if the car door is unlocked, they'll check it, and if they can just go in and get something quick, they'll try and do that as well.
Yeah, a couple more things before we get out of here. I know last year there was a lot of protests happening throughout the nation. There was plenty happening in the city of Lynn last year. First, can you talk about when you see something as an officer, when you see what happened in Minnesota, and you're looking at it from afar, and you know there's going to be so much criticism coming at every police, even though they have nothing to do with what happened over there. First, how do you, as a department, handle that, and what has the department been doing to have to better relationships with the community?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing to do when you see what happened in Minnesota, and I believe our department did do this along with many others, is you condemn that behavior. The actions the officer took are not part of any police practices that we authorize, and frankly, we don't engage in those. So you have to condemn improper procedures and, frankly, downright awful behavior when you see it, and we did do that. But then you also have to be prepared to listen to people, because people come to you having their own life experiences, their own personal experiences, and so it's very important to listen to them. And in the course of the demonstrations you saw in this community, what we tried to do was we tried to reach out to stakeholders and leaders of the various protest groups, and just to talk to them beforehand, tell them what we were doing in response to certain policy issues and other things like that, but also to talk to them about how we could provide a safe space for the demonstrations. We didn't want to have violence or destruction or anybody being hurt or businesses being harmed, but we wanted to facilitate a process where their voices could be heard in a meaningful way. So we tried to work with the stakeholders and the organizers on that regard.
There it goes. There was a $500,000 grant that was given to an organization. Are you guys the racial justice organization? I believe it was. Is that something that you guys are going to be working with them as far as community work and stuff like that? Right.
So the mayor has put $500,000 into his budget to fund an unarmed crisis response program.
There we go. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we're certainly, obviously we're going to be part of that, and we're committed to listening and to take part in meaningful discussions to try to find ways to enhance the public safety response, to involve trained professionals in that type of response, especially with regard to vulnerable populations and others. So those discussions are, we're getting ready to move into that phase. I know the mayor is engaging some consultants to be involved in that process, and we expect to have meaningful conversations on what would work for this community and how we can enhance efforts to help those vulnerable populations.
I had to break that moment right there.
No, I understand.
And lastly, can you just talk about some of the events that you guys got going on, some of the programs that you guys have going on for the summer? You talked about the teen drop-in center. Is there other programs that you guys have going on this summer? Yeah, so what we think, part of the real approach what we want to take as a police department in this community is to create opportunities to be engaged with the public. So we have really committed to try to increase foot patrols, especially in the downtown area, where by having that approachable, engaged police presence provides an opportunity for people to engage in conversations with officers, share concerns they might have, provides the officers an opportunity to hear from people, and then supplement that also with the bike patrols. The CBD bike unit, which is a committed presence downtown, has been very popular, very effective at helping businesses solve problems, which is going to be important to growing the economy in the downtown area. They're very good at working with a variety of social service agencies in this area to help out with the issues of mental health in the community, homelessness in the community, substance use disorder in the community. So, we want to enhance more of that type of patrol where there can be more direct engagement and hear from people directly. Beyond that, I'm really committed to trying to enhance our youth engagement opportunities. We do have the Teen Center, which is Friday nights at 5:30 at the Thurgood Marshall School, 5:30 to 9:30, was an opportunity to have a safe space and interact with police officers, play some basketball or some other things like that. And in the fall, that'll transition over to, I believe it'll go back to Lynn Tech, but right now there's air conditioning at Thurgood Marshall, which helps. We're stopping in at the Stop the Violence basketball tournament to be part of that and to have a positive engagement with the young adults and young people that are involved there. I've just asked Lieutenant Donovan from the Youth Services Unit to put together a bike safety event for younger children that we're going to run and have some helmets to give away and some other things like that. And beyond that, I've also asked him to put together a sort of a physical fitness, healthy lifestyle day as well for young people. So we want to create more and more of those positive engagements. We want to work with our partners like LISOA and ROCA and Catholic Charities and FCS to engage in positive interventions.
to help kids get the guidance, the mentorship, and the referrals they need to make healthy choices and be on a better path in life.
Definitely, definitely. And that last helmet giveaway, I think you guys, it took like 10 minutes.
That was at the YMCA last year, right?
Yeah, I showed up and it was all gone. Like I showed up 5 minutes after it began, and it was all gone. It was a great event. Oh man, wish we had more time. There's more stuff we could discuss, but we just ran out of time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
To giving us all that information. Also, please let them know to go to the Facebook page if they want to find out any information or any updates.
Yeah, the Lynn Police Facebook page and Twitter, we post a lot of information on there. We're currently updating some information on our website as well, so that'll be a resource going forward in the future.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Not a problem. Always great to have the police department in here to just give the community up-to-date information. You guys have been watching the Lynn Lowdown. Have a great day.